Hi, today we're going to talk about well and septic fields. Now, some homes do not have city water or don't even have water that come from their town or their local municipality. They have their own private well and septic fields. Now, don't make a face. That is not what it used to be. A lot of people think of wells as something you stick a bucket down and get the water, and a lot of people have horrible thoughts about septic fields that aren't even true. Septic fields can be used for sanitation instead of it going out into the filtration system of the city or the village. It is held in a tank and it is pumped out typically every 3 to 5 years. If you have a lot of people living in your home, every 3 years, if not every 5 years. It is not the horrible thing that everybody thinks. Wells have come a long way. You don't see them, you don't hear them. The well is in the front yard typically. The well water comes into your tank and is held there. It then goes through a series of filtration systems which you control. You can have as many or as few filters as you can. Most people have an iron filter, a taste filter. Some people have several filters in order to make the water as clear, as soft, and as, tasting good as possible. The different filters also go through the water softener to again soften it, and then go through the hot water heater to heat it. If you don't need hot water, it still goes through the hot water heater because all the lines are there. Basically, well and septic are things that people with acreage get. So any home that is typically over half an acre or over an acre, depending on the home, can potentially have that. What you get with a home with well and septic is you get acreage. You get a lot of space. You're not right up against a neighbor. But you do have to have the well and septic. Maintenance, it's pretty minor. Every 3 to 5 years, pump out the tank. In the area that I am in the Orland Park, Illinois area, costs between $400 and $500 every time the septic tank is emptied. That's about $100 a year if you do it every 5 years. As far as the well is concerned, wells are very durable. Depending on the kind of water, depending on a lot of these things, well pumps can last 20, 30 or more years, maybe even 50. The well water is held in the well tank, which can last just as many years, maybe more. It just depends. Well tanks go from anywhere from $400 to $1,000, $1,500, depending on their size. Also, there are some brains of the operation with wells, and those can go too. However, if you compare that against monthly water bills, even if you pay a minimum of $100 a month for water, which is very minimal, typically people pay $200 or more in the area that I'm in for water. But even if you only pay a minimum of $100 a month, that's $1,200 a month that you don't have to pay for water and sewer, or $1,200 a year. What can you do with $1,200 a year? Add that up over 20 years. What can you do with that? That's a down payment on a new house. That's the price of almost a whole car, or even a whole car, depending. A lot of savings can be involved. There's no maintenance or very little maintenance, and it's not something you should be afraid of. Some realtors do not recommend houses with well and septic. Why? Because they don't understand them. They've never had them. I've had well and septic for 30 years with 2 different houses, and I would tell you that I would put my water up against anybody's water. I have a reverse osmosis system. My water is crystal clear, and it is very good tasting. The other thing about well and septic is when you're buying a home, if you're not sure about well and septic, do your research. If your realtor doesn't know, online is a great place to research. I do have a blog that has information about well and septic. But here's what I would ask the seller. First of all, Well and septic has to be tested. The well water is tested by typically a county or a private testing facility that tests for bacteria, chloroform, nitrates, things like that. And then septic fields are tested also. They put a dye solution, they run all the water in the house, and if the dye solution goes through the toilets without coming out in the field, in the backyard typically, the septic field is fine. They do well and septic tests. Typically, it's paid for by the seller. A lot of times the seller does this at the very end of the transaction. If I'm selling a home, I tell the seller, do it right away. Put it on the MLS or other type of listing service. That way, the buyers know it's fine. There's no question, there's no problem. The other thing is, if you're selling your home, give them a taste of your water. Have water samples ready. Let them know there's nothing to be afraid of. It tastes fine. With a little effort, not much, you can do a lot of savings, and you can get the benefit of living in a home with a lot of acreage or a little acreage, but something open. Don't be afraid of well and septic. It's not something you have to be afraid of. Thanks very much. If you would like more information on real estate, please subscribe to the channel. I'm Suzanne Hamilton, Managing Broker, RE Homes Source in Orland Park, Illinois. Thanks very much.